What's going on, everyone? Rob here with week 10 of weekly recaps, not transactions, which I'm usually doing, but that's over now. Weekly recap. Where is Sticks? Where is the confusion? Neither of them are here. Are you confused as to where they are? I'm sure he's never heard that one before, but they both had some time issues. They're pretty busy this week. I think actually the confusion had internet problems, so I said it's fine, I can take over this week for the weekly recap. I did last week, jumped in last week, but this week it's just me, so I'll try my best to see what I can do. Luckily, Sticks left me some of his notes, so half of it is kind of like scripted by Sticks. So if you hear some really shitty jokes, that's where it comes from. Okay, so let's jump right into this thing. It's a really good week this week. So let's start with the New Orleans Pelipers, John, versus the Borussia Donphan, Lars. So the New Orleans Pelipers brought Cryogonal, Megalopunny, Reuniclus, Latios, Lando T, and Rotom Cut. The Donphans brought Landorus Incarnate, Scizor, Aromatisse, Hitmonlee, Mega Alakazam, and Mesprit. It was the battle of the Landos and looked to be a relatively offensive match as both teams brought some heavy hitters. A relatively scouty early game finally picked up as the first of the defensive Mons went down as Lando T took down Aromatisse, but Lando T also ended up being the first of the twins to bite the dust as Scizor took it out with a bullet punch. A double down of Cryogonal and Mesprit led to a 4-4 situation, but John had the much better of that situation as Mega Lopunny was pretty much able to run train on the rest of Lars' team. Although Reuniclus came through hugely clutch and took Earth Powers from Landorus, which allowed Mega Lopunny to clean up the rest of Lars' team. So very well played by Lars, very well played by both coaches. Really close one that John actually was able to pull through as the winner. So next, let's go with the Real Madrid versus the San Francisco Giants. Miguel brought Weavile, Mega Blastoise, Uxie, Registeel, Golurk, and Talonflame. Gio brought Latias, Entei, Cresselia, Ditto, Zapdos, and Regirock. So early on, Registeel proved to be quite a big nuisance on Gio's team, with it toxicking a couple of Mons and setting up the rocks. Shortly after, Gio pulled a huge first kill, revealing Natural Gift Grass against the Mega Blastoise. The mid-game was very high-paced, with Pokemon falling back and forth. Both coaches had big plans with Rock Polish Mons, Miguel having Golurk and Gio having Regirock, but neither were able to secure more than one kill. Gio finally attempted to finish the game, sending a Healing Wish into Howl Entei. However, Miguel's Uxie came in clutch with a crucial T-Wave para and a Psychic Crit on the Entei. This didn't necessarily win the game for Miguel, but it did make it a lot easier for him to finish off the game with Registeel. This resulted in a 2-0 win for Miguel, so very well played. Next, let's move on to the Tampa Bay Luxrays, Monotui versus the San Francisco Chimp Chargers, coached by Envy. So Mono brought Mega Manectric, Garchomp, Azumarill, Bronzong, Mandibuzz, and Amoonguss. Envy brought Mega Ampharos, Sneasel, Jirachi, Donphan, Togekiss, and Gyarados. So one thing Sticks noticed about Envy is that he always brings some sort of setup every week, which yeah, we know that he likes to do the setup spam. I threw up in my mouth a little bit. Turn 1, when the Hax got himself, Jirachi, got a crit para, full para, with a T-Bolt on the Azumarill turn 1. So now we can confirm that Sticks did throw up a bit. The Hax continued as Envy got a static para on the Mandibuzz first try with the Ampharos. From there, Mono took a relative lead at 5-4 by taking out Donphan and Togekiss and a double down of Gyarados and Garchomp, making it 4-3. However, Envy's Rest Ampharos was able to bulk through the rest of Mono's team to win the game. So yeah, that was a very good game. Ampharos, Mega Ampharos, proving that it can be viable in league format. Very good in that game. So moving on now to the San Francisco Arcaniners versus the New York Metapods. George brought Mega Beedrill, Mamoswine, Spiritomb, Infernape, Manaphy, and Snorlax. Dan brought Mega Altaria, Gourgeist, Medicham, Victini, Rotomwash, and Galvantula. Dan's game plan seemed to be working as Galvantula set up webs turn 1, with George having no clear defogger. However, shortly after, George revealed defog on the Mega Beedrill to ensure that webs wouldn't be slowing his team down. This again was a very back and forth kill and be killed kind of game, with the Snorlax, Rotomwash, Infernape, Mega Altaria, and Spiritomb all going down practically in a row. This continued the very next turn as Manaphy attempted to set up on the Victini. However, Dan's banded Victini got a crucial crit, OHKOing the Manaphy, allowing Dan to safely finish off the game with Gourgeist and Victini. So also a very close game. You'll see that as a trend this week. Lots of close games this week. However, that Victini crit, I don't say it necessarily changed the result. It could have changed the result. However, Gourgeist, the mons that Dan had in the back potentially could have won it for him either way. Now let's move on to the next game, the Atlanta Haluchas Fizz versus the Pittsburgh Paratatas. Versus the Pittsburgh Paratatas. I want to get this right. Versus the Pittsburgh Paratatas, coached by Tup. That actually took me quite a few times to say, but I wanted to say it right, so there we go. Atlanta brought Volcanion, Porygon 2, Whimsicott, Salamence, Florges, and Zoroark. Pitt brought Rotom H, Mega Pidgeot, Excadrill, Hippowdon, Tentacruel, and Tangrowth. So this is another one of those classic Styx writings, so I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun with this one. Oh man, did Excadrill look like it was going to have some fun this game. From team preview, I really thought the game was going to come down to how Fizz played his Ments, as it was the only thing that could really take on the Excadrill. You had to love the early defog Toxic Spike standoff between Tentacruel and Salamence. That was really indicative of how the match was going to go. It was a wear him down and drag it out kind of game. Not gonna lie though, this match got kind of exciting when Fizz was able to use Trick Room Porygon 2 to trace No Guard from the Mega Pidgeot and put in a bit of work. Unfortunately, there was another standoff and it happened between the Hippowdon and the Porygon 2 as both players proved their stubbornness. Trick Room Porygon 2 came through once again later and prevented a +4 Excadrill from running through the rest of Fizz's team, which eventually resulted in Volcanion finishing off the rest of the game. So Fizz did pull out the victory here. There was a lot of those little stall moments throughout the game. These two old men playing it out. Older than the rest of us, I guess. But yeah, there's still lots of entertaining moments in this one. So now let's move on to the San Jose Sharpedos versus the Boston Red Sox. Tom brought Starmie, Cobalion, Milotic, Tyrantrum, Xatu, and Gligar. Nick brought Skarmory, Feraligatr, Jolteon, Darmanitan, Lantern, and Mega Venusaur. Early game consisted of a lot of volt switching around for Nick as Tom's Milotic proved to be quite a big issue. It became an arguably bigger issue as Nick paralyzed it, activating Marvel Scale. The game seemed to be highly in Tom's favor as he picked up a 6-3 lead over Nick. However, Nick's substitute Feraligatr managed to set up 3 Dragon Dances on Milotic and Cobalion. Unfortunately, Tom, being very distracted and busy at the time, proceeded to sack off the rest of his team to the Feraligatr, when in fact, when Tom sent in his Milotic, it was able to take the crunch with ease. However, at this point, Nick's Jolteon could just come in and finish the game. Very unfortunate for Tom. He was playing so well up to that moment, but well played by Nick, capitalizing on Tom's mistakes that game. So next, let's move on to the Philadelphia Scizors, coached by Chimpact, versus the Utah Jasmine, coached by Cooper. Chimpact brought Magneton, Tornadus Therian, Politoed, Steelix, Megadiancy, and Kingdra. Utah brought Empoleon, Greninja, Clefable, Aggron, Gliscor, and Weezing. So Coop didn't really have anything to answer Rain after Empoleon was weakened, which was a hindrance due to its lack of recovery. Psychic Tornadus was able to get the first knockout of the match after a relatively scout-heavy early game that didn't really leave anything with significant damage. Focus Blast Politoed was able to get heavy damage on the Empoleon, really setting up the path for Kingdra to sweep. Eventually, Dragon Dance Kingdra was able to set up, get a solid roll in the Clefable, and comfortably sweep the rest of Coop's team. It was a really straightforward game consisting of Chimp weakening Cooper's team, setting up, and sweeping. So very nice sweep by Kingdra that game. Chimpact really played his cards right, scouting out all the sets, seeing that Clefable couldn't do too much this game, and eventually able to sweep with the Dragon Dance Kingdra. Very nice thing to see, as Kingdras are one of the more underrated mons in League-type format. So let's move on to the final game this week, that being Milwaukee Sawsbucks versus the Mewcastle United. Battler X brought Gengar, Honchkrow, Meloetta, Slowbro, Sandslash, Mega Pinsir, and Sam brought Kyurem, Crocodile, Suicune, Mew, Electros, and Pyroar. This proved to be the battle of the bulky waters, as Battler X's Slowbro and Sam's Suicune fought it out to see who would come out on top. Mons like Kyurem and Mega Pinsir did secure themselves a couple of kills, but this was always going to come down to Suicune versus Slowbro. Suicune's pressure ability along with Rest Talk proved to be too much for this Slowbro, however. If only he had brought the leftovers. Steve with a really fun song throughout that game. But yeah, neither team seemed to have an answer for bulky water mon besides their own bulky water. So that game ended up being Suicune versus Slowbro. But very well played on both sides. Sam did come out the winner on that one. So that was the last match of the week. Let's move on to the league leaders in terms of kills. And as you can see, we have a new league leader, John, coach of the New Orleans Pelipers, and Megalopunny are number 1 in kills with 17 kills, 6 deaths, and a plus 11 differential, moving Lars's Landorus down to second place, which is really unfortunate for me because that was my bold prediction that Landorus I would be the top killer this season. But also you can see Victini, Dan's Victini, is now in the top 3, pushing Mega Diancie out to 4th place. No big changes in the other top 10, except Entei is now replacing Mega Alakazam in the top 10, so not too many changes in the kill leaders. Now moving on to the divisions, the conferences and divisions, we still see the same leaders, those being Chimpact, MV, George, and Tup, all with a relatively safe route to victory, to the playoffs. However, George losing a couple of those games with Mono right on his tail, and the Silver Division is still relatively close, with Tup, Coop, and Geo all around the same number of wins. So it'll be fun to see how those divisions turn out. The Blue and Silver main ones to watch right now, in my opinion. Okay, so that will be the end of Week 10 weekly recaps. Sorry there wasn't more like interaction between another person, it was just me this time. But I'm sure we will get Styx and the confusion back next week. But either way, this has been Rob with Week 10 of weekly recaps. Thank you for watching. Comment below what your favorite match of the week was, and see you next time for Week 11 for Season 6 of the GBA.